The first thing I remember is the beeping. Slow, steady, like a lie, whispered on loop. My eyelids fluttered open to the antiseptic glare of overhead lights. And there he was. Daniel. His voice was soft, too soft. "You're awake," he said, like it was a miracle. But inside, I was screaming. I remembered everything. The fight, the car, the screaming tires. And the texts. God, the texts. I blinked once, then again, and said nothing. I let the silence thicken, let him believe the impact had erased him from my mind. Because I had a plan. And the first step was pretending not to know the man who shattered me. Daniel kept visiting, bringing flowers, holding my hand like he still had a right to it. The doctors called it retrograde amnesia, said my brain was protecting me. I wanted to laugh. My brain wasn't protecting me. I was. I watched his face for cracks, for guilt, for anything that slipped through the mask. But he was good. Too good. I let him tuck the blanket under my legs. Let him lean in close and whisper memories we both knew were fake. And when he kissed my forehead and left for the night, I didn't cry. I waited. Because the proof had to be close. Somewhere in his guilt-ridden routines there would be something he overlooked. It took 5 days before I could walk without their help. 5 days of pretending I didn't recognize the face in the mirror. That night, while the nurses changed shifts, I slipped out. The hallway was cold, humming with electricity and secrets. I made it to the records room, locked. Of course it was. My hands trembled, not from weakness but rage. I wanted the visitor logs, the nurses' notes, anything that proved he wasn't always alone. But the click of approaching shoes made me step back into the dark, feigning confusion as the nurse called my name. "You shouldn't be up." I smiled weakly. "I don't know where I am." And just like that, they guided me back. But I'd seen enough to know I wasn't wrong. From my bed, I watched. I learned the rhythm of Daniel's visits. Always at 9, always alone. But that morning, he was late. And when he finally arrived, I saw her. The nurse with the perfect braid and nervous smile. She laughed at something he said, her hand brushing his. It was small, but it splintered me. He didn't know I could see him through the crack in the door. Didn't know I was taking mental notes, burning every detail into memory. He had her fooled, maybe. But I wasn't playing victim anymore. I was gathering ammunition, quietly, patiently, and without mercy. They thought I was resting, healing. Instead, I was documenting. Every shift change, every bouquet, every time Daniel touched her shoulder. The way she blushed, the way he lingered. I sketched out their timelines, their lies. At night, I wrote in stolen minutes, the pen scratching like a blade across paper. It wasn't just about the affair anymore. It was the betrayal, the gaslighting. I needed more than confrontation. I needed to expose him in a way that couldn't be denied, where he couldn't twist the truth into something palatable. I was building my case, and I'd make damn sure he never saw it coming. One afternoon, while pretending to nap, I heard the buzz. A nurse, not the one Daniel flirts with, had left her phone by my bed. It lit up with a message from someone named Dee. Curiosity clashed with ethics. But I had no room left for guilt. Carefully, I inched the phone toward me with trembling fingers. The preview alone made my breath stop. Last night was a mistake. She suspects something. My stomach turned. He was unraveling. And now I had digital proof that something was slipping. Something I could use. I turned my face back toward the window, feigning sleep. But inside, a fire had started, and it wasn't going out. I broke that night. I locked the bathroom door and turned on the water to drown the sound of my sobs. It wasn't just Daniel's betrayal. It was the memory of who I used to be before this game started. Before I became a liar myself. The way of pretending was suffocating, the sterile air clawing at my lungs. But I looked at my reflection and whispered, "Don't stop now." Because beneath the weakness, there was something harder for me. I wasn't just a woman scorned anymore. I was a woman with a strategy. And strategies don't cry, they calculate. I waited until the nurse left for a break, then took the phone again. I forwarded the message to myself, quick, silent. Every movement felt like it echoed off the tiles. My heart pounded so hard I was sure someone would hear it. When the phone was back on the counter, I wheeled myself into the hall and smiled at the passing doctor like I didn't just commit digital war. The message was mine now. I had a trail. Dates, times, words he couldn't weasel out of. And with every secret I stole, I felt less like his victim and more like his executioner. It was nearly midnight when I saw it. I couldn't sleep. The machines hummed beside me, but something made me get up and go to the window. Down below, in the dim glow of the parking lot, there they were, Daniel and the nurse. He kissed her. Not a slip, not a mistake, a full, knowing kiss. Then he opened the passenger door like a gentleman, like a man in love. My breath caught. He wasn't even trying to hide it anymore. And I realized, maybe he thought I was never going to wake up. Maybe he thought I'd stay broken forever. That was his biggest mistake. The next morning I asked for a laptop. Said I wanted to write down what little I could remember. The staff saw it as progress, a good sign. But I wasn't writing memories. I was compiling evidence. I uploaded the message threads, time-stamped every suspicious visit, and screen-captured everything Daniel had said in my room that contradicted what I'd seen. The file grew, slowly but relentlessly. Every keystroke was revenge typed into reality. No more lies. No more tears. Just the clean, cold logic of betrayal laid bare in digital ink. Daniel walked in like always, flowers in hand, lies on his lips. But something in me shifted. I didn't smile, didn't thank him. I just looked at him, really looked. He asked how I felt if anything had come back. I almost laughed. So I said, I keep getting flashes. You and someone in blue. He froze, just for a second. But I saw it. That flicker of fear. The way his eyes darted. It was enough. He smiled after, too quickly, and deflected like he always did. But now I knew he was sweating under the skin. And the tighter I played along, the closer I got to cracking him open. It was a risk, but I needed to hear them together. I followed Daniel once, trailing the sound of his voice. Found them near the supply closet, his hand on her lower back, whispering. My pulse thundered. I crouched behind a curtain, phone recording, every second a knife through my ribs. She still doesn't remember, he said. It's working. And then she asked, what if she does? His silence said everything. He wasn't just cheating, he was manipulating my entire reality. I pressed stop on the recording and slipped away like a ghost. I had what I needed now. The next time he walked into my room, smiling like nothing was wrong, I'd be ready. I asked to speak to the doctor alone. Not just about recovery, but about protection. I told him the memories were coming back, slowly, and I wasn't sure I was safe. That was the first truth I'd spoken in weeks. I slid the folder across the desk. Everything I'd collected, the texts, the audio, the timeline. He flipped through it in silence. His face was unreadable, but his nod was firm. We'll take care of this, he said. I didn't know what this meant exactly, but for the first time, I didn't feel alone in the cold fluorescent maze. For the first time, someone believed me. Daniel arrived later than usual, and I wasn't there. My bed, rumpled. My chart, gone. The nurse at the desk told him I was under special evaluation and couldn't receive visitors. I imagined the panic rising in his throat, imagined the sweat on his temples. He'd lost control. The puppet couldn't be strung anymore. And I watched it all from behind a security monitor with the staff, heart pounding like thunder in my chest. I wanted him to feel what I had, Helpless, uncertain, trapped in a maze with no way out. Only I wasn't the victim anymore. I was the hand on the lever, watching him fall. They brought me the dress from my belongings, the one I wore the night of the crash. Red. Too elegant for the white walls, too loud for silence. But it was mine. I put it on slowly, carefully. Every zip, every button was a vow. I stared at myself in the mirror, the woman who had survived gaslighting, lies, and isolation. She wasn't broken. She wasn't lost. She had faked amnesia and clawed her way back through a maze of betrayal. I whispered, "You end it now." Then I turned toward the hallway, toward the reckoning, toward him. The room was cold, clinical, like everything else here. But all eyes were on me now. I stood in that red dress, a splash of color in a sea of white coats and stunned silence. Daniel sat across from me, confused, eyes darting. Until the nurse hit play. His voice filled the room. "She still doesn't remember. It's working." I watched his face crumble. The facade, the charm, gone. Just a man caught mid-lie, cornered with nowhere to run. He opened his mouth to speak, but I raised my hand. "You don't get to explain," I said. And for once he had nothing left to say. I watched them lead him out. No cuffs, no shouting, just quiet disgrace. The same quiet he used to control me. But this time, it was his prison. The nurse, his accomplice, didn't even look back. She left the room before the recording ended. They'd both underestimated me. Thought kindness was weakness. Thought silence meant confusion. But silence can be a strategy. And now, as dusk spilled across the window panes, I felt something close to peace. Not revenge, just release. Like stepping out of a nightmare, barefoot into the morning. The halls felt different now, not like a maze, but a corridor leading out. I walked slowly, my heels quiet against the floor, fingertips brushing the walls I'd once felt trapped inside. No machines behind me, no voices calling my name. Just forward motion. My body still ached. My heart still flinched at shadows. But I'd survived him. I'd survived myself. And now I wasn't running. I was walking away, with every lie behind me, and the truth stitched into my skin like armor. Funny how pretending to forget helped me remember exactly who I